Self-sufficiency is an art. It feels pretty incredible to see your own food grow from a small seed to a nourishing fruit. To see the sun, the rain, the hot, the cold, the earth and your hands all working together to make something grow. We live in the Australian rainforest on a tropical fruit farm that spreads across the valley. Some of the trees were planted by us, some by our parents, and some by our grandparents. In the rainforest, there is always ripe fruit. Each season has a new gift. Summer brings bright abundance with jambu, avocados, and mangoes. But winter's touch ripens the thousands of avocados. The orchards spread far across the mountains, and we feel so lucky to harvest from these magical forests.
The night was open, the rain was golden upon our shoulders and in my eyes.
We're in the middle of winter, which is our dry season. This means that it cannot rain for weeks on end, which is beautiful to feel the warm Australian sun, but it also means that the soil can get dry and the creeks can slow to a trickle. For the past few days, we've had really big winter rain, and it feels like the earth is celebrating, with mist playing in the golden sun. The days after winter rain have to be the most beautiful time. The trees hold shimmering droplets and the white cockatoos dance through the valley. On these days, I always make sure to celebrate with the earth, so I'm harvesting up high in the old avocado orchard, watching the golden mist paint the horizon.
But I was broken after you spoken. Your heart was stolen and I was blind. Couldn't forget it. I couldn't relent it.
As I harvest from trees planted by my grandparents, I am reminded that self-sufficiency is so much more than just growing food. It is providing life and nourishment for all those to come. It is a gift to the future.
But what can I do? I crossed the line.
Our grandparents planted trees until they were so old. They knew that the sapling that they were planting wouldn't produce fruit for over 10 years, and that they wouldn't be around when it finally blossomed for the first time. But that didn't stop them, because self-sufficiency isn't about yourself. Instead, it is about believing in the future and creating a world full of gifts.
Don't regret it. My mind doesn't sweat it.
We are sisters, Julia and Anastasia, and a few years ago now, we chose this life in the Australian rainforest. With the help of our animal friends, we work to restore nature's balance, garden, grow our own food, and live with the land. Last year, we wrote a memoir full of stories of the rainforest, its fruit, and our journey of learning to care for the land. You can buy it by following the link in our description. To rely mostly off yourselves and avoid supermarkets as much as possible means that you have to understand how to balance time. Some trees that provide us with the most food were planted 60 years ago by our grandparents. But in the garden, we planted these seeds just months ago. There's the time spent waiting long seasons to see the growth in your seedlings. But then there's the rush of planting, composting, weeding, and watering all at the right time. Sometimes a season passes by so fast and you miss the small window, but sometimes years will pass by so slow as you wait for a sapling to bear fruit. It's a balance, but we've learnt to mostly just focus on the present, planting and harvesting whatever works in the moment. The abundant fruit teaches us that it isn't about controlling time, but instead about moving within it. Self-sufficiency is often mistaken. It turns into almost a competition. I think that it's so important to remember that it isn't about how much you grow or how perfectly you grow it, but instead it's about a combination of caring for yourself, your community, and the earth. This intersection is what is so nourishing. It's not necessarily about the harvest that you get, but it's more about the act of growing. I feel like we sometimes gain more nourishment from our bare feet tiptoeing around the garden than we do from the actual vegetables. This also comes back to not feeling like you have to do anything perfectly. Our goal has always been to grow as much food as possible, but I think that the imperfection in this brings beauty. The food that we can't grow ourselves, we buy from our community, and this shared connection is another thing that nourishes us from this lifestyle. Going to the farmers markets or swapping food with neighbours is something so important for us to understand our local food systems and share the joy of growing.
Come on. Come on.
At this time of year, the sheep are so happy. All of the grass is going to seed and there is fruit on almost every tree, so they are full, spending the whole season eating. They always bounce and skip to show their excitement. Sometimes they get so excited to bounce that they actually run up and down the path, backwards and forwards, just to show us how high they can bounce.
of fresh air in her mind. I'm stepping away from the silver spoon, the taste on my lips of a new found blue. From all that I knew, alive. Dreamy, beautiful, holy harmony from me for you. Smile in my blues for heart.
Come on.
Wish I had kissed my lips once more.
Come on, boy.
My eyes rolling here. 'Cause when nobody loves you, everybody wants to, how can you?
Come on. Come on, you don't want to come out.
Kids are getting older. It's so much colder if the torches burn out. What is it that I miss? A quiet home filled with empty rooms. Is it the past or the future that looms? And
When the ducks go for a swim, they can't control their excitement, and they splash and swim in circles so fast. I call these duck zoomies, and they might be my favourite thing in the world. Happy is still such a baby and loves to come and sit on my lap. She always splashes past me and pretends to accidentally float into my arms.
Stop.
I've been coming down to the creek about once a week and just bringing these ducks and taking them for a swim, and their joy is so contagious. It's got to be one of the most wholesome things in the world to just watch your ducks play in the stream. It's getting colder as well, so I feel like it's really good for me to sit in the cold water in the afternoon in winter and just feel it. I've been trying to go to a new spot each time that I come for a swim because I can get caught in routine and go to the same creek every time because it's so beautiful, but I need to branch out a little bit, and this is a spot that I don't think I've ever swum before. I walked here and it took a long time, especially because Happy and Snug are quite heavy. In summer the creeks are raging and they're sometimes brown and flooded and full of debris, and you kind of forget to appreciate the blue creeks in those times in between, and this is a bit of one of those times in between the dry season and the wet, when we still have water in the creeks and you're able to swim.
The music in this video is by Indira Elias, and you can find her links in our description. Thank you so much to our patrons. This community helps us to continue planting trees for generations to come.